Oh, it's light outside already. I must have worked throughout the whole night. The hard work was worth it though, because I've completed both a hangar and all those essential machines that I'll need. What I will need to do, however, is test out those new airtight hangar doors. I have the button on the control panel set to a timer block, so when I do click it, it should set off an alarm and flashing lights. Well, here goes. Yeah, that's worked perfectly. Well, at least that's the first stage of the base done. Ben, sorry I was busy earlier. What were those suggestions you had for me to make my spacesuit more combat effective?
Commander, I have identified several enhancements that can be added to your spacesuit, including an Atlas Mark II exoskeleton, level 4 armor plates, and an M159 combat helmet. These enhancements would substantially increase your combat effectiveness and survivability against the Sabiroids.
Hey, that sounds impressive.
The process will take several hours to complete, and I can task the assembler to build the required components while you are not currently using it.
You know what, Ben? That sounds like an excellent idea. You may proceed.
Acknowledged, Commander. I will begin the process of manufacturing the suit upgrades immediately, and I will inform you as soon as the process is complete.
That would be great. Thanks, Ben. The next item in my agenda is to add some landing pads out here. But first, let's see if these things close as well as they open. Yep, I'm happy with that. And best of all, this place is starting to pressurise, which means that there's the option of working in here without having to keep my helmet on, just to save on oxygen. Now, because the hangar is so big, it does take a while to pressurise. I suppose in future I could add another air vent to help speed things up, but right now, this'll do fine. Anyway, let's get those landing pads and a couple of Gatling guns built. As I witnessed yesterday, those 5.56mm interior turrets weren't exactly very effective against the meteors, so I'm hoping that this larger 25mm Gatling gun that I'm about to build will actually be strong enough to stop them, but as always, only time will tell. I've also built a couple of landing pads on either side of the base. One of them has got a raised connector, along with some large thruster-resistant blast door blocks for the mining vessel, and I've got another one here which is a bit more flush with the deck itself, just so that I've got more space to land any larger vessels if I need to do so. I'll just get the remaining components, and that should be the Gatling gun completed. Just construction components and metal grids now. That shouldn't be a problem. Excellent. Now let's just tweak the settings slightly. I don't want it targeting neutrals just in case it shoots at something I'm starting to build, nor do I want it targeting characters such as Sabiroids, because with a 25mm that would just be wasting ammo. Speaking of ammo, I think I better load it up to see how much it can actually carry. If it will let me. Now, why isn't it letting me do it? Ah, wait a second, I know why. It's because I've not completed the conveyor system yet. But that's not a problem, I shall just go and finish that right now. As far as I remember, it just needs construction components. There we go, problem solved. Excellent. It looks like the conveyor system is automatically sending the turret the ammo that it needs. What I will do in the meantime, however, is rename this Gatling turret just so that I know exactly which one it is in future. I'll also increase the turret's range to the maximum. It's already set to target meteors, as you can see, and while I'm not expecting to be attacked by any hostile vessels, it's better to be safe than sorry. I'll also have it targeting missiles in the meantime as well, at least until I can get a smaller turret dedicated to that task. I've also been busy working on the exterior of the base as well. I've added some antennas with collision lights so that I don't crash during the night, and also a water tank attached to the side of the base too. Unfortunately, as you can see, the not-so-mobile base is looking a little worse for wear because I've started to salvage it for components to build the rest of the main base. On the second floor, I've added the living quarters and a medical bay, and also some space for a second refinery if I need to make one in future. In fact, shortly before I head upstairs, I shall just quickly replenish my hydrogen for my jetpack and check on the resources I've got. In fact, I've just realised that this gravel here is taking up a ridiculous amount of space. Sadly, it's a byproduct of a lot of the mining I've been doing, and it's only really used for reactor components. I am short in platinum, gold and silver, however. But trace amounts of those minerals will exist in the gravel itself, which makes me think that it might be time to consider that industrial centrifuge that Ben mentioned back at the beginning of our adventures. With all those solar panels, plus potentially 2 small nuclear reactors, I should have enough power for it now. And from the looks of things, I should have more than enough components to actually build this thing. Now, as fate would have it, as I mentioned earlier, I have already allocated space for a refinery on the second floor, and given our circumstances, and the fact that a centrifuge takes up the same amount of space, it would seem like the more sensible alternative, at least at this moment in time. Now what I'll need to do is orientate it correctly so that it ends up matching where I plan on having the connectors attached to it at the bottom, and also so that I can access the upgrade modules at the side as well, so those need to be sticking towards the outside, I reckon. No, that's the wrong way round. I was right the first time. Yep, that'll do it. Okay, let's get this thing welded up. And I need at least another 530 steel plates. And since I know for a fact I don't have that many in storage already, I guess it means I need to go mining again. And now, after that quick mining expedition, I should have more than enough steel to get this completed. There we go, that's the centrifuge working now. All I need is 13 more steel plates just to make sure that it is fully complete. You can already hear the refinery and arc furnace pulsing as it's getting trace amounts of resources sent to it, which seems to suggest that the centrifuge is working as intended. Oh yeah, check that out. It's processing the gravel and getting those trace amounts of ores from those and sending it to the arc furnace and refinery. It's not much, but it's better than nothing, and it's a good use of all that extra stone and gravel we end up getting each time we go mining. And best of all, it still blends in with the rest of the base, so at least it's not an eyesore or anything. Speaking of the rest of the base, I reckon it's now time for me to go upstairs and check out the living quarters and also see just how much extra power this industrial centrifuge is actually using up. Once again, I've installed the old airlock system that I'm now intimately familiar with. As usual, it just serves to keep this section of the base pressurised at all times. So, over here we now have a working medical room. And opposite from here, we have the all-important living quarters. Now, according to this screen, the centrifuge is not using much power at all. I'll just take a more comfortable seat and have a look at it using my tablet instead. Well, that's interesting. According to these readings, we're using up less than 1.4 megawatts out of the total 15, which is less than 10%. The small reactor's barely breaking a sweat. And I've got 22.4 uranium ingots, so that should last me for a while. I am impressed with what I've done with these living quarters. They certainly put the ones I had in the Pristinium and Asteroid base to shame. Not only does it have these reinforced windows that offer an amazing view, but I've also got my bed, a cabinet, and even bathroom facilities, which include both a toilet and a water shower. And words cannot express how good it feels to actually wash using real water again instead of those horrible IASA antibacterial wipes, which have that horrible antiseptic hospital smell to them. And of course my table, which comes with a kettle and a self-heating dinner plate, and of course my tablet, so that way I can keep tabs of what's going on in the base whilst I'm sitting down and chilling out. At the moment this corridor has a dead end, but I eventually plan on making it the stairway up to the command centre, which will be the third and final level to this base. In fact, I'll just head out there right now and take a look at the roof because I want to have a rough idea of where I want the stairway to emerge from. I'll probably make it emerge from around about here. I don't want it too close to the centre, otherwise it'll just take up too much floor space in the command centre itself. And trust me, the last thing I want to happen when I'm focusing on extremely important display screens and readouts is to tragically fall down a poorly placed stairwell. Now I need to be careful when I'm disassembling this thing that I don't accidentally grind away a supporting structure and have the whole damn thing roll over on me or something stupid. I may have a nice new shiny medical room, but I'm not that keen to use it just quite yet. Cool, I've got plenty of hydrogen, which means I can carry on building the command centre now. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but it will be a lot more impressive once it's done. I eventually plan on adding windows, an antenna, a couple of missile launchers, and even a laser antenna and telescope to the top so that Ben can pinpoint exactly where we are in the galaxy. At least that way we can try to figure out exactly how far away from Earth we are and draw up plans on how we intend to get back again. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. One step at a time, Commander. Ah, sounds like the Sabiroids have paid us another visit. I better go and check on the damage. And as expected, the turrets have made short work of them. Now let's see if they were carrying anything useful. Construction components. Ah, those are always useful. Now, I always feel vulnerable when I'm down here, even with those turrets defending me. The problem is, though, my last experience of fighting these things close up, I felt like I was equipped with little more than a glorified pea shooter. Out of curiosity, Ben, I don't suppose you've got the plans for a handheld death ray, or at least some kind of weapon with a bit more punch than this assault rifle by any chance?
Negative, Commander. Although I have analyzed your current rifle and can suggest several upgrades, including one in which the receiver is replaced with one with superior alloys and a heavier barrel, this should improve both accuracy and fire rate.
You what? Well, this is going to be an incredibly useful upgrade, Ben. I'm surprised you didn't mention this to me sooner. You know, before I was surrounded by Sabiroids.
Apologies, Commander. You never mentioned this previously, so it was assumed you were content with your current firearm.
Oh, of course you did. Anyway, I'm keen on seeing how these two rifles compare to each other in terms of performance, so I'm just going to create this metal block here and use it as a temporary target. There we go, that's it complete. The Elite Automatic Rifle. About here should be fine. I'll just equip it on my toolbar and get ready to fire. It's a lighter colour, but I'll just switch to the old one and test it out first. Here we go. Well, the fire rate's not too bad, but the accuracy is terrible. I mean, just look at those shots. They're all over the place. Well, time to test out the new one now. Oh yeah, it's a lot faster, and the grouping's better too. Right, that's it settled. I'm using the Elite automatic rifle from now on, and this one I'm just going to stick up here and keep it as a spare, just in case. Time to grind this block away. It served its purpose. Okay, enough playing with new toys. I better go and finish getting rid of what's left of the old mobile base. All I have left to do is empty this cargo container of its contents and also disassemble those 2 batteries that are left over. Hopefully it shouldn't take me too long, and I need all that silicon that's inside it to make those windows for the command center. Which, as you can see, is starting to take shape nicely. All I've got to do is get everything on top of it welded up and get those windows sorted. Then I can make a start at getting the internals done, including the command chair and LCD screens. Right, now it's time to grind these batteries down and strip them of their components.
Caution, Commander. The power cell components are extremely delicate. Any attempt to use the grinder on the batteries may result in the loss of the power cells within them.
Whoa, shit. Really? Oh, I can't afford to lose those components. It'll take hours of work just to replace them. I need to figure out some other way of bringing those batteries up to the base. Actually, hang on a second. The drill ship has landing gear attached to the bottom, and its engines might be strong enough to lift the batteries all the way up there. Well, I guess there's only one way of finding out. If the drill ship is indeed strong enough to lift the batteries up to the base, then I might be able to attach some merge blocks onto them and connect them to the grid. That way I can save the batteries and the power cells inside them. Or at least that's the theory. But first things first, I need to be able to see if I can lift these things to begin with. I need to be careful with my alignment here. If I go too far left or right, the thrusters on the drill ship could damage these batteries under them. Okay, here we go. Oh yes, easily. The thrusters must be a lot stronger than I thought. Turning, however, isn't so good. This thing now handles like a mule. But hey, as long as it can still take me back to the landing pad, I'll be more than happy. Right, if I can leave it hovering about here, that should be fine. That's the merge blocks done. I'll just add this metal block here to stop it from toppling over, and then I'll go and see if I can nudge this thing into place and get the merge blocks to connect to each other. And that is going to take some pretty precise flying, that's for sure. I just hope this damn ship's small enough to do it. Right, I'll see how it looks. No, it's still a bit too far a ways. Needs to move a little more forward. It's almost there, but the drills are catching against the side of the windows of the command center. I might have to be a little creative now. I just have to make sure this thing doesn't roll too far that it starts to move away again. Ah, I can feel the merge blocks pulling, unlocking the gear, and let's see how it looks now. Ah, it's turned from white to yellow, which means that the merge blocks aren't connected, but they are pulling each other. They need to be green. Maybe if I just nudge it ever so gently, it might click into place. Yes, perfect. There we go. Good grief, that was tense. Right, I'll just land this thing and I'll get out and have a closer look to make sure that the blocks have indeed merged and that the batteries are connected to the grid. And best of all, it doesn't look like the drill ship has used much power to do this either. Excellent. Which means I can just power it down and keep it locked in place using the landing gear. That way it won't drain power or steal any uranium from the refinery. Cool. Now let's go and check on those batteries. Brilliant, it looks like they're all connected to the grid. 2 of them have got a duplicate name, but that's okay, I'll fix that later on. Right now I just need to make sure that they're all turned off so that they don't drain the nuclear reactor. They look a little odd at the moment, but in due course I'll just move them down and cover them up so they're less obvious. And that was officially the last part of our mobile base. It has now been assimilated into the main base itself. I'm just heading back after mining some more silicon, and hopefully I should have enough now that I can complete the windows around the top of the command centre. The base I have now decided to name Red Mountain Base because it's, well, next to some red mountains. Yeah, I know, not exactly original, but hey, it sounds good. Whoa, check that out, another meteor storm. Luckily, that one looks as if it's going to miss us by miles. But, saying that, it is still a constant reminder of one of the dangers that we face on this planet. Luckily, none of the other meteor storms I've seen so far have come near our base, yet, and I'm hoping that, if any do in the future, those 4 new Gatling turrets I've built should hopefully be strong enough to intercept at least some of them, if not all of them. But I guess that's something that we're going to find out eventually though. Yeah, it looks like the meteors from that last storm just struck the ground over there in the middle of nowhere. Which I'm not really complaining about, of course. It does look pretty, and the further away they land from our base, the better as far as I'm concerned.
Meteor storm inbound.
Well, it looks like I spoke too soon. I guess we're about to find out whether or not these Gatling turrets were actually worth it. Now, it looks like those top 2 are going to come closest. That's one down. And the other. Excellent. Well, I don't know about you, Benson, but I'd have to say that our new turrets have proven to be most adequate.
Agreed, Commander. Both of the meteors that came within 800 meters of the base were successfully intercepted and neutralized by the turrets.
Indeed they were, and I dare say they could have probably handled more meteors. My only concern is the amount of magnesium it costs to produce the ammo magazines for those turrets. It's not an issue if we only have the occasional Meteor Storm, but if we're going to be constantly bombarded, then we could run out of ammo pretty damn quickly. Which just means I've got to go mining to make sure that I've got an ample supply of magnesium in future. Saying that, we should have enough ammo to last for the next couple of hours at least if there are any more Meteor Storms. So it means I can get back to work on this command center and try and get it completed as quickly as I possibly can. Thankfully, all I've got left to do is to finish those windows, build the computers and LCD screens.
Commander, work has been completed on the upgrades to your spacesuit. You may collect them from the assembler when ready.
Excellent, Ben. I'm on my way. I've actually been really looking forward to this. Now, first, before I do don my new spacesuit, I want to take a look at my old one, just to compare them. Now, I don't have any mirrors installed in this base, so what I'm going to do is use the rear view camera on the mining vessel instead. I just hope there's enough light. Yeah, there we go. There's the old spacesuit I've come to know and love. I've used this ever since we left Earth, so it's done me well so far. But, sadly, my situation has changed and I need to adapt, which means I need a more combat-orientated suit. So, without further ado, let's go and get the new enhancements added onto this thing. I just need to make sure this place is pressurised first, as I'll be taking off my helmet, and I don't want to suffocate. Okay, everything is attached and secure, the exoskeleton is powering up. All I've got left to do is put the helmet on and see how this thing moves. Oh wow, I'm noticing a huge difference. This exoskeleton really helps in this increased gravity. Moving around has never been this easy before. Right, let's get outside and see what this thing looks like in the camera. Are you able to read me okay, Ben?
Affirmative, Commander. I read you loud and clear.
Excellent. Now, while the visor in this thing is smaller than my old spacesuits, it's actually closer to my face, so it doesn't really reduce my visibility, which is pretty cool. Right, let's take a look at this thing. Ha ha ha! Ah, brilliant! Now I look like a total badass. All this extra armour protection will certainly come in useful, but I need to be aware that this suit is over 20% heavier than my old one, which means it won't be as nimble when I'm out in space. To make up for this, it does store more hydrogen, so that'll certainly come in handy. I am liking the new combat helmet though, it's certainly a lot more practical than that big glass visor. And combined with this new assault rifle, I think I stand a bit more of a chance taking on those Sabiroids. Or indeed anything else that might be out there. Well, this certainly has been a very productive day. Not only have I increased my own survivability, but I've come pretty close to finishing this base. The next step is to explore and find out what else is out here on this planet.